It was the early 1990s, and I think it's fair to say that the men of Britain were behaving badly. This was also the time when Depeche Mode sang songs of faith and devotion, Wallace and Gromit got fitted with the wrong trousers, and Aerosmith invaded your home consoles with Revolution X. Hello, my name is Cyril, and that's just one of the Super NES games that we're going to be talking about today as we continue our journey through Super Play's Top 600. This is the show where we're going to be reading the verdicts and counting down every single review published in the pages of Super Play magazine, even if that means standing here in the rain. We left off with game 551, which means that today it's time to focus our attention on 550 through 501. We have just so much ground left to cover and not much time, so let's dive into the next 50 games on our Super NES countdown. Number 550, Mecarobot Golf. Perhaps the worst golf game we've ever played. You can do far, far better than this. Number 549, Uncharted Waters. You would expect there to be an excruciatingly complex and involving game lurking here somewhere. Could I find it? Answer, no. Number 548, Battletoads Double Dragon. This really is a waste of time. It comes to something that the best part of a new Super Nintendo game is the small section that replicates a 1970s arcade hit. Titch. Number 547, Acrobat Mission. Acrobat Mission is a really appalling, vertically scrolling shoot-'em-up. To buy it, you'd have to be completely mad. Number 546, Carrier Aces. A desperately thin attempt to create a flight simulator on the SNES. Japanese kamikaze pilots would be insulted if they hadn't all killed themselves. Number 545, Star Trek: The Next Generation. A compilation of very poor sub-games adhering only loosely to the next-gen theme. It's a cosmic disaster that'll disappoint gamers and Trekkies alike. Number 544, Family Dog. The controls are horribly unwieldy. The animation seems to take precedence whenever the game's gotta make a decision between moving the dog and completing a sequence of actions. You get sent back frustratingly far when you die, and it's all dull. Number 543, The King of Rally. Brilliant 3D scrolling, it's a very striking game when you first see it, but with very little to actually do. Number 542, Wizardry V. Slow, tedious, pointless, and completely inexcusable in the 1990s. I hope we never see anything like this ever again. Number 541, Super Godzilla. It captures some of the Godzilla atmosphere, but this doesn't make it a particularly good game. The fighting is quirky, original, and not very much fun. And there's little variety. Boo. Yes. Number 540, Double Dragon 5. Not as good as the two biggies, despite the 24 meg. Diverting for a while, and the CPU plays a mean game, but generally too shallow and lacking real fight. And the graphics could be better. Number 539, Beavis and Butt-Head. Committed B&B fans, if such people exist, may get something out of this, but, as the gruesome twosome themselves would no doubt say, this sucks. Number 538, Imperium. Imperium is very lackluster. In a couple days' time, you'll probably have forgotten it even existed. It's called Assault Suits Darien in Japan, by the way. Number 537, Olympic Summer Games. Not the best use of an Olympic tie-in, which seems wholly satisfied with shoving reams of Atlanta 96 emblazed title screens down your throat rather than sorting out its faults. The whole thing feels a little flat and is essentially only worth considering if you throw parties regularly. Yeah, it won't have a long life if you're Billy No-Mates, you see. Number 536, Foreman For Real. A license, a flash graphic routine, manages to miss the spot in every respect. turning in as bad a performance as the first Foreman game. Number 533, Monopoly. If you get really, really bored on a rainy day, this may amuse you for about 10 minutes, but only if you haven't already got Monopoly the board game. Number 534, Wordtris. Fine in principle and fun for a little while, but they seem to have made a bit of a hash out of it. What should need a lot of brain power is really just a game of luck. Number 533, Space Invaders. Personally, I can see this being a big hit in Japan, bearing in mind that it's selling for only 4,980 yen, which is approximately 26 pounds. And for the Japanese people's notorious love for all things out of the ordinary. Over here, though, I can't see anybody but the most nostalgia-hungry fanatic buying it. Number 532, Incredible Crash Dummies. For the price of this cart, you could actually buy a Game Boy. Perhaps you should ask yourself what you want out of your machine. Number 531, Liberty or Death. Death is marginally a better option here, unless you're a wargame fan and fascinated by American history. You'll want to play something fun after you had to go with this. Number 530, North Star Ken 6. Effective, large, smooth-moving sprites, some funny moments, and lots of speed. But terribly shallow in the gameplay department. It's a chore to play and absolutely no competition for Street Fighter 2. Number 529, Super Black Bass. I don't understand how anybody could enjoy fishing, unless you count the bit where the fish is barbecued and eaten. And that is what it all boils down to in the end, whether you've got the patience for this sort of thing. Number 528, Turbo Toons. Initially very amusing, but much like the looping background scenery in every Hanna-Barbera cartoon, it's too simple and becomes repetitive far too quickly. Number 527, Action Pachio. It's Yawn City, and bad enough to have us scrambling to cover up the monitor when somebody from Sega Power walked in the room just for fear that if they saw this, they'd be taking the Michael out of us for months. Wait, who's Michael? Is that supposed to be slang? You know what, I think this might be a time to call in Lorne, our British correspondent, to explain this punchline. He'll make it funny. Hey Lorne, what do they mean by taking the Michael?
They won't just be taking the Michael, they'll be taking the Mickey, Jimmy, Sally, Jenny, all of the British names apparently. You are aware Michael's not the term, it's piss. Like taking the piss out of someone, Cyril. Come on now.
Oh, so they'd be mocking the Superplay editors if they saw them playing Action Pachio. God, that makes so much sense. But don't worry guys, the Mega Drive has plenty of terrible games, and they're way worse than this. Trust me.
He's so cute.
You're such a perv. This guy is a serious musician. This video should be tough.
He's too sexy for his shirt.
Girls, can't live with him? And shoot him.
Number 526, Super Tom and Jerry. A largely worthless attempt to cash in on the Tom and Jerry name that isn't going to keep the average player amused for long. Number 525, Golden Fighter. A perfectly awful beat-em-up that combines elements of Final Fight and Street Fighter 2. Adds a novel pick-your-own-move option, and then throws everything away by mucking up the scrolling, animation, and basic gameplay. Number 524, Power Pigs. Dislikable characters, ill-conceived gameplay, and tawdry graphics add up to, sorry, a swine of a game. Number 523, Death Valley Rally. Everything that makes the Roadrunner so wonderful is dragged down by an awful game. It's too hard and simply not worth the trouble of persevering with. Number 522, Super Battle Tank 2. If just the smallest amount of thought had been put into it, this could have been the first true tank simulator on the Super NES and been superbly detailed and playable. But it wasn't, it isn't, and it never will be. Number 521, Might and Magic 2. This is rule-playing, not role-playing. Even fans of the genre would be hard-pushed to elicit any enjoyment from this cart. Number 520, Tecmo, Secret of the Stars. Mediocre. Don't be fooled into thinking that just because Final Fantasy got you interested in RPGs that they're all that good. This is a bog-standard Japanese-style RPG that only die-hard fanatics will get anything out of. Number 519, Super Sumo. Super Sumo is very nearly as good as Sumo Spirits. In fact, in quite a few ways, it's better. It's slightly easier to work out what's going on, and the graphics are cute and amusingly animated. But it's just not as playable somehow. Number 518, Revolution X. It's an arcade game. It belongs in the arcade, where you can blast away for 10 minutes and then play something else. Venture any further in and you'll discover how little there is to it. Number 517, Ultima 6, The False Prophet. Ultima, the vast prophet for old rope, more like it. Compared to Zelda or Secret of Mana, this is a shameful bit of old tat. Number 516, Super Drift Out. There's a dearth of good driving games on the Super NES right now, and this doesn't address that problem at all convincingly. Too limited? Too easy? Too true. Number 515, Front Mission, Gun Hazard. Fun hazard more like, devoid of action, tactics, playability, or challenge. Front Mission, Gun Hazard is the dusty bin of mecha gaming, and it's published by Square. The rot sets in. Number 514, Ultraseven. Two-player mode gives lots of laughs, certainly, but of the, oh dear, how ridiculous is this type? Just as tacky as the useless original. Number 513, Operation Europe. Poorly thought out and slow. There aren't any decent combat bits to liven it up. A pity, because the detail is excellent and therefore wasted. Number 512, Rise of the Phoenix. There's more strategy in a game of Snap. Below average, even by Koei's standards. Number 511, Syvalion. Odd central character which presents its own challenges, but otherwise a fairly unremarkable blaster, and one that fails to get even very exciting. Number 510, Clue. The usual board game conversion comments apply, really. I.e., it's a perfectly serviceable conversion that has nothing over the original and costs much more. Number 509, The Ren and Stimpy Show, Veediots. Quite interesting to look at for a while, but deeply sub-incredible to play. Number 508, Sumo Spirits. Believe it or not, sumo wrestling does actually work quite well on the Super NES. Sort of, and Sumo Spirits is the best version we've seen yet. We're not suggesting that you rush out and buy it, though. Number 507, E.V.O, Search for Eden. A splendid idea, but a very mediocre game. Tacked onto a shoot-'em-up, say, the evolution concept could have been a real winner. Number 506, Super Bowling. The problem with Super Bowling is that it's so easy. Within 30 minutes, we're getting perfect strikes every time, which makes you question the long-term appeal, rather. There's little else wrong with it, true, but isn't that enough to be getting on with? Number 505, Battle Clash. Quite a bit more exciting than previous offerings, but not conclusive proof that the Super Scope is the peripheral of the 90s, or whenever. It's just too limited and too repetitive, and miles too easy to finish. Number 504, Super F1 Hero. A pretty poor effort. The driving side of things sort of worked, but the graphics let the game down completely. Number 503, Super Conflict. Not only is this about 10 years behind everything else that's going on in the wargaming world, but it doesn't even work properly. Number 502, Redline F-1 Racer. A very poor racer compared to the likes of Human Grand Prix or Nigel Mansell's. It tries quite hard, but it's really barking up the wrong tree of playability altogether. In the completely wrong forest, if the truth be told. And finally, number 501, Power Athlete. A poor Street Fighter II ripoff and a total waste of money. But if you did ever get to play it, I'd venture that you'd grow oddly fond of it. So, what did we learn this episode? Well, we learned that Superplay likes taking the Michael out of Koei. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm just gonna go with it though. Although we saw signs of it last episode, I think this is the part of the list where it became official. Superplay hated Koei. The truth is, it may actually extend beyond that to be most, if not all, strategy games. But I don't think we have enough information yet to confirm that. All I know is that they pissed all over Operation Europe, Liberty or Death, Rise of the Phoenix, and Uncharted Waters. And I don't want to spoil anything for you, but the bloodshed's only getting started. In a generation dominated by colorful platformers and fighting games, it seems like deep, involving strategy titles just couldn't hold Superplay's attention. We're just gonna have to monitor that in future episodes. Speaking of which, our next episode will air November 30th, followed by episode 4 on December 3rd. Starting next week, we're going to be posting new episodes every Tuesday and Friday, leading right up to New Year's Eve. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get out of this rain. I swear, if I wanted to be in the middle of a rainstorm, I would have just stayed home. Anyway, see you on Tuesday. Hey, thanks for watching the second episode of Superplay Top 600. Don't worry, I'm warm and dry now, but I gotta admit, I'm a little hoarse right now. I don't know why. It's probably nothing. Why are you looking at me like that? It's nothing. Now, here's the question I have for you. What Super NES game is so bad that it's actually good? In the review, Superplay mentioned that Power Athlete game might actually grow on you in an odd kind of way, and it's definitely true. I'd say that's one of those bad games that's kind of endearing for all the wrong reasons. What other games fit into that category? Let me see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back next week with 2 more episodes of Superplay Top 600, as well as reviews and the return of Game Over. Look, we have lots going on, so do me a favor and click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.